Yeah. Yep. Hello, welcome. Rapid Fire Golf episode 17 with Monday, 5 p.m. Hope all is well. And today is our official launch of our Golf Swing for Seniors Masterclass. So we're excited about that. We'll talk about that a little bit more. For those of you who have been here in previous sessions, lives, post up comments and we'll rapid fire go through them. Hope all is well. Hope everyone enjoyed the PGA Championship. I think most of us at the end. So it was pretty cool here. Just saying that I have a bad connection. It's okay there. Issues, but I think this week. Okay, I'm going to assume that we are okay, and we'll rock and roll here. Mark, thanks for the right shoulder move. Loved it. Thank you. You are very welcome. That was one of the couple of movements, or a couple of videos we did on sort of how the body moves during the downswing, kind of trying to get the trail shoulder not lagging in space, but getting that moving down and forward through right side bend into the follow through. A lot of players that I have seen, that's something right side bend we'll talk more about as we go. Getting that right shoulder down like a right side crunch with the rotation piece is really a big deal in terms of getting the handle forward to get the dynamic loft and hit the ball solid. So that's cool. Frank, what's going on? Brandel commented that Koepka separates his left arm from his body, and this is power generating move. What would that be? So you're looking at how the arm works relative to the body. There's adduction and abduction. So your left arm, your lead arm can work away from your side, or it can work towards your side, right? Away or towards. During your backswing, when you make a motion, it's not just purely, right? So when I make my backswing, my left arm works across my pec, and there's going to be some amount of lift as I work back. And during my downswing, at some point in time, my lead arm needs to work off my arm, or my lead arm needs to work off my pec during the downswing follow through, and that would be the speed generation movement. If during the downswing your left arm were to stay on your pec the whole time, and I just rotate and I turn on my pec, probably better for connection, better for rotation, maybe club face stability. Am I having issues?
You know, audio sounds great, video looks broken up.
Okay.
So just be aware this is what the guys are seeing.
Okay.
So.
So anyway, so the left arm working on the chest as I work down and through is supposed to fly off my arm at some off of the chest. There would be the power movement. Yeah, Mary, just let me know. Sorry, the video quality for whatever reason is not good this week. We have it connected the same way, so hopefully we'll get that coordinated. Let's see. How long should the Tour Striker ball stay in between your arms before coming out? Did you see the golf ball study by myself? What did you think? So first, the Tour Striker ball. You could do swings where it stays between your arms the entire time. So if I put a hand all the way through. Love the Tour Striker ball. It really forces you to have rotation, keep connection between your arms, your body, sync things up, if you will. And you could definitely keep it in all the way. Not everyone will be able to do that, right? Guys that go back that have flying right elbows on the way back or on the way through can also come out, and that would be fine. But you can keep it in the whole time. I did see the golf ball study. I looked at it. No huge thoughts on that. Someone sent me an email on it. So I took some time and read it. I think those guys know a lot more about golf balls than I do. I've always found when I looked at golf balls, not a significant difference in the full swing numbers. So I've had a TrackMan for a bunch of years, and I did more golf ball studies in the beginning. I didn't find a huge difference amongst players when we changed golf balls, but significant difference around the group spin rate numbers and things like that. So that's kind of my thought on golf balls. Thought the study was good. I think thanks for the viz. You are very welcome. You're very welcome. Can you explain where the butt end of the handle should finish in relation to the hip in regards to chipping? Do you do this when you hinge and not hinge? So yeah, if you search some of my chipping videos, search and put in my name and then chipping, you'll see kind of my thoughts on it. Depends on the style of chip. So when I come through, if I'm hitting a chip shot with like a stock chip and pitch shot, I want to have the handle finish pretty close to my lead hip here. So if I made a normal motion, the handle would be pretty close to my lead hip. My arms are bent and my chest is rotated. Target, it would be about here. If this was a target, it'd be here or here. This would be about a normal one. If I wanted to go really high with my shot, it would finish really close like this. If I wanted a lower trajectory shot, farther away. It really depends on the trajectory you want to hit. If you want to go lower, I would go ball more back, kind of inside, kind of right toes, and get the butt of the club working away from me, club head lower than my hands. Neutral would be ball middle, like so, and I'd finish about neutral, club head about even, and then high would be more up like this. So I like the arms to be more bent and close to the hip. I don't like a Mickelson style talent in practice time. You could do that, but I'd rather just make it more neutral. Yeah, sorry about the video quality. Frank, that comment. Jim, what's up, man? Hitting my irons fat. Video shows spine tilted away from target like I'm hitting driver. How do I get stacked up over the ball, maybe left shoulder down and around? That's exactly what you would do, yeah. So when you come down, just do the opposites, right, as always. If I come down and I'm too tilted this way, left shoulder high, left hip high, too much tilt here like this, usually not enough rotation, contact issues, you would want to feel the opposite. So if your left shoulder normally goes up this way, you would want to feel your left shoulder working more down and around in transition. If your left hip goes up and forward, you would want to feel your left hip going down and behind you a little bit. So from this side, if you normally went up with your left shoulder and hip, it would look like this. If you went down and around, it would look more like with the shoulder. Also, for the senior golfer product, at about probably halfway through at the 30-minute mark, for those of you who are interested, I am going to put up a code, 50% off, puts it at $23.50, which I think is just ridiculously low price point for the value you get. The 16 videos we did in the master class, obviously there was the one video out today. There's going to be 2 more throughout the week. Basically a senior golfer model that we put together that expands a lot on the video that we did a lot of you guys like. So if you are interested in that senior product, if you want it or know someone who wants it, just wants to watch it, if you hang around till the 30-minute mark. So let's see here. Is turning way faster than my arms? That I need to get my arm swing faster than my body. Any good tips? Yeah, I don't typically see that, meaning like players who get their lower body out working in front of them and rotating well, usually the best ball strikers in the world. Might you need to sync your arms up to that, perhaps. There's some different things you can do if you decide you want to get your arms down faster, which I don't know is a good idea. There's some things you can do where you actually would put something in your belt loop, put an alignment rod through your belt loop like this. I don't have one in here, but you put through your belt loop like this, and then you're actually trying to get your arms and hands down in front of your hips as you work, of course, without hitting the stick. So alignment rod through the belt loop, have half of it hanging out back here. When you come down, you're trying to not hit the stick, get your arms down in front of you. Again, don't know that that's the best idea, but that would be fixing that problem. If to you without seeing anything or knowing any more information would be you should line up a feedback station, probably a gate drill where you put tees just outside your putter, put tees in the same spot about 3 to 4 inches behind that, and tees 3 to 4 inches in front of that. Search my name at gate drill, and you'll see a follow through with that. I would just put that or a station where you had to do some forth, give yourself feedback from that, gather feels from that, and use that. There could be a whole bunch of mechanical reasons why you can't do that. How much you're bent over, how long your arms are, your wrist positions, the putter you have. I mean, there's too many variables for me to make kind of a stock statement, but if you put a feedback station in that, should help. Vizio and Eyeline have some good practice stations for that, or just tees. If you didn't check that out already, like I said, I'll put that coupon code for 50% off, $23.50. It's like 9 holes of golf. Don, if you want to check out the whole senior product, even more on that. Glad that helped. And I've heard driver is not the same. Yeah, so the setup's definitely different between iron and driver. If I took my normal iron setup here, so I would go about shoulder width. I'd have the ball position about in line with my left, just forward of middle, hands inside of left thigh, and I'd probably only have about a degree, about shoulder width just outside. Ball position remains off my left thigh, left ear, somewhere between sternum and shirt logo. I'd have my hands inside of left thigh still, and now instead of about 0 degrees of tilt, I might have like 2, 3, 4 degrees. There's a couple of subtle differences with my Mizuno driver. Shout out the club champion, my new Mizuno driver. The ball position would be about off of, I move the ball more forward because I want to hit more up. So I'd go ball position more off of kind of left armpit, left shoulder be as far. Left armpit, shirt logo be as far back. Feet are wider, ankles outside of shoulders, hands still inside left thigh. But now really what's changing is my tilt. So here's my 0 for my sand wedge. Here's 3 degrees with my 7. Here's probably 4, 5, 6, 7 with the driver, maybe 10 if I'm going long drive, but here. So notice as my clubs get longer, my feet are getting wider, and I'm adding more tilt. Now when I add tilt, I'm doing it to account for the angle of attack differences. Let's see. Dave, is it possible to exit too far left? Yes, with an in to out swing path. Looks that way on video, getting toe strikes. Is it possible to exit too far left in general? Yes. If you have an in to out swing path, I would have a hard time seeing how your exit would be too low, assuming your path was that far to the right swing direction. There's some different things you can do with how far you hit down on the ball and angle of attack, but I would say that left, your swing path would be to the right, but maybe if you have that measured on there. I like to see players on the way through exit with the club somewhere between the middle of the rib cage and the lead shoulder. So if I kind of looked at from here, shoulder to rib cage on my way through, I would want the club to exit somewhere between those two. Under rib cage or over shoulder usually is a swing direction issue, contact, and direction issues. Quality of the video any better, or is it still?
Still crappy. And the link didn't copy, and tell them I'm recopying that link for seniors.
Okay, Mary is going to put in the link for the senior for you guys in the comments here. Having a hard time today. Any tips for putting? Thanks, senior. Let's see here. Boop, boop, boop. Okay. There's a lot about shaft checkpoints throughout the swing. What are the key checkpoints for hand path, especially on downswing and follow through, swinging left? Should shaft be under shoulder? Yes, so I just inadvertently answered the shaft question there. The hand question, if I took my normal setup and I want my arms to be hanging basically straight line down in front of my toe line, which would be about right here, okay? So armpits over balls of feet, my arms are just in front of my toe line. My hands work in over my toe line during the initial takeaway phase or just inside of that. From there, my hands up through my right pec. When about left arm parallel down, they should go, depending upon your rotation amounts. And then from about here, a chop parallel during the downswing, my hands now are going to start to work up and to the left. And then they'll gradually work through club just to the right of my heel line and exiting somewhere between my shoulder. So a little master class on hand path for you.
David brought up a good point. It's later who's saying, let people know that if they're around, they get all master classes.
I was told by Mary now, all of these master classes, just FYI. Jay, bend, shank, and bend seem to take the club. I drive the ball fine. Yeah, so Jay, I'd say, listen, just stop doing what you're doing. If down and forward is this way, you feel a little bit more hip turn. I'm not as steep of a shoulder turn. I have to see exactly why that's happening. Same thing with the takeaway piece. So I'd watch the videos on the takeaway piece. We got a million on how to get the takeaway good, depending upon why it's getting too far inside. But a lot of times those will go together. When you dive in too far, the hand path kicks too far inside. So maybe you're going to feel like, again, instead of going down and forward this way and your face going forward, you're going to feel like your face kind of goes up and back as you make a pivot this way. I don't actually want you to go that far, but that's what we need to feel like to find middle. Scott, do you want a feeling of club face close or facing the ball out of the way back during the backswing? What you need to feel depends on where you're coming from. It also depends on your grip. But more or less, what I like checkpoints-wise would be at first parallel, slightly down, about the same as my back line. So this is my back or spine line. Here would be toe up. Here's all the way down towards the ground. I don't like that. There, that's cool. And then I like that to be about parallel, maybe just close to parallel to the forearm line at the top. So that's that. Brad, suspected number of things, but what typically causes contact towards the toe? Tendency to early extend. Yeah, definitely early extension. Anytime the shaft gets more vertical at impact than it was at address. So here's me at address. The shaft should be roughly through my belt buckle. If at impact I get forward of that, which usually happens from early extension, the shaft goes up this way. If my shaft gets forward of that, the club actually works in towards me, which gives you toe contact. So early extension, definitely a lot of toe contact. The shaft getting more vertical, definitely a lot of toe contact. Anytime your chest gets farther from the ball, or your upper body gets farther from the ball, then what would have to have happened there? If I make a normal swing and I get farther from the ball comes in on the toe. So shaft being too vertical, or you getting farther from, you're losing your inclination to the ground with early extension. How would you fix that? Get the shaft lower by getting your bends right, add right side bend and rotation. Check out the early extension videos. We're going to do an early extension masterclass in June, so I have more on that, but we have a bunch of videos on that as well. You are very welcome. Dougie, completely lost my way with the backswing for a while and was hooking everything. Worked out, I was forgetting to hinge the wrist on the takeaway. Bingo, off on the place. Beautiful, love it. We'll just make sure you give yourself feedback so you know that you're actually doing what you feel like you're doing. Patrick, really appreciate the troubleshooting your takeaway video. Helped me have a good thought process standing over the ball and have a ton of honesty. Love it. Thank you, Patrick. Glad to hear that. Blah, blah, blah. Best way to record golf swing, waist height, down line height. So I would do chest height. So chest height from down the line. You want to go on your hand path. So behind you on your hand path, chest height, and then from face on, 90 degrees to your body from chest height. I like chest height. Different people might tell you different things, but chest height I think is typically universal. Who makes your practice net? I need one like that. This is Mary's practice net. It's a Skills, SKLZ, Quickster it's called. I haven't actually ever hit any normal golf balls into it, but I think Mary claims she has at home. But we use the foam balls, and it works really good. I think she set it up like in like 5 minutes, I think, maybe max. So it was cool. Let's see, Eric, with your experience of your own swing, what are your 3 key points on the golf swing that you think is the most important? Yeah, again, that's all relative to me, right? So me being someone who was taught into sliding a lot and was taught into kind of having that lateral motion, getting the left hip and left shoulder really high on the way through, I developed some early extension patterns. So for me, I need to feel a lot of that, right? Because I literally, for a decade, we're doing those things on purpose. So I would hit pushes and hooks as my pattern. So for me, I really need to feel like my lead shoulder and lead hip go down as they work around to feel normal. And during my downswing, because I normally want to go this way and kind of throw at the bottom, I need to feel like I add a bunch of right side bend and rotation as I'm turning through. So for me, like pushing off my right foot, pushing off my trail foot, getting right side bend and kind of going lower in transition into about these sort of feels, put me neutral when I make a normal swing. Let's see, and those are kind of feels I would say, like I got a lot of younger like players who run into those same sort of things when they're trying to generate speed. And so those sort of feels are kind of typical for people with early extension or too much lateral slide issues. Let's say Miguel, thanks Eric. All your videos are nice, thank you. Could you bring some tips to trigger the release? Yeah, we have a lot of videos actually on the release and the hands and the wrist conditions, past impact. If you, all those things, we did style videos like early last year, probably early 2018. Richard, on the 10-4 drill, is that just a drill or should your swing follow that in and out path versus swinging more to the left and follow through? It's just a drill, it's exaggerated. So it's designed to shallow your downswing and get the club working out to the right, sort of hit like flip hooks, which going back to what I just said before, most good players I work with have thought that at some point in time. If you can learn how to hit flip hooks, like you should be able to take those swing patterns and literally with just that, not even fixing it, like hit the ball solid, high, far, and hit a draw pattern. You'll hit some pushes and overhooks like that, but if you can chip and putt, you can shoot in the 7. I mean, like almost all of my younger guys have that pattern, and they all shoot at or around par. It's a good player pattern. Now, eventually, what you do is you want to learn to get the club working kind of too far inside out, too far inside out, too far inside out, and then add in rotation, and then that should neutralize a lot of that. It's like learn to get the club working inside out, learn to get enough arm rotation, supination, get the face close to the path, hit draws on purpose, add body rotation, neutralize later as needed, and that would be like utopia. But until you build that draw pattern, and like anyone on here who shoots above 5 on a regular basis or struggles with a fade to the right, you should do that drill over and over and over until that's easy and you're hitting hooks, because you're gonna hit the ball more solid and play more solid, hit it farther, hit your driver farther, etc. It is just a drill, but it's good for a lot of people. Weight distribution with clubs. I would stay 50-50 kind of across the board for full swings. You could go a little bit more towards 60-40 with short irons or wedges. But I would go kind of 50-50. I also wouldn't be going more to the right with the driver. I think 50-50 across the board in terms of pressure in feet at address would be a good kind of checkpoint. Let's see. Calvin. Mary, can you just make sure that door's locked? What are some drills for keeping spine angle or even increasing spine angle during transition of the swing? When looking at my swing, I noticed my spine angle straightens, but the pros are the opposite. We just did a video on that very thing today. Now, I'm assuming when you're saying spine angle, you're talking during the backswing, kind of in 2D, looking like you maintain your inclination this way and this way. If you're losing that, in very basic terms, you need to add side bends. During a backswing, I tilt to the left, turn and extend. I tilt to the left, turn and extend, and that gives me my inclination. If I lose this side bend and I do everything else the same, then I lose my spine angle, right? So it's really left side bend or left shoulder more down during your backswing. The same thing on the downswing. If I have a thing here and I add right side bend, right shoulder down to the downswing, that maintains my spine angle. But if I lose that right side bend, now I've lost that spine angle. So it's really about adding left side bend during the backswing, left shoulder down, adding right side bend during the downswing, right shoulder down. That's kind of, I got Mary deleting comments. Yeah, about another 5 minutes, guys. About 5 minutes, I'm going to post up that code for half off the senior masterclass, 2350. Yeah. Okay. Thoughts on DJ and Koepka left wrist bowling? Love it. Something to experiment with or too complex? Definitely something to experiment with. Generally speaking, it depends on your grip pattern. So the weaker the grip is, the more the V's on your hand would go to the left chin or middle. The weaker the grip, the more you have to add bow. So if I had a really weak grip at the top, my face would be too open. I have to bow my wrist a lot just to get my face to square. See that difference? Here's a weak grip at the top, face open. I got to bow it to get it square, which also means down at impact, I got to bow that thing pretty darn good and add some supination to square. If I have a strong grip pattern like this, then at the top, my face can still be square, even with a cupped wrist. You see that? So if I bowed it from there, then I'd be DJ. Now, DJ also rotates and really rotate and side bend. Gonna have a connection issue here again. Yeah, that's excellent. But that's like LeBron James could jump high enough to dunk. Like that in theory is excellent. Kershaw throws a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. What you're watching Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson do when they play is literally to the level of Clayton Kershaw throwing a curveball or LeBron James dunking. But because we golf, we go play, right? I think we assume we could do some of those things. I mean, they're freak athletes. So to be able to take a left wrist bowed in a face like that and turn enough to play, if you can do that, love it, great. Playing on tour or you're shooting drafts under par, it's more good theory on paper, but I don't know how practical. Most of the golfers I've seen over the past decade need to learn how to definitely add some flexion here, but throw some supination in, right? But kind of back to your point, it depends on the grip. Bow and bend the right wrist back is grip pattern. But yeah, solid. I am all for learning to flex and add some motion. Matt, what's up, man? What's going on? While I practice, that is our Matt. I think that's our Matt. That last video we just did with the tension mat, I'd put something like that in, that drastic, because that tells me the feels you have in practice aren't on the course aren't as exaggerated. Meaning, first, I hit baby draws. It's pretty normal for good players to have to. I think a lot of amateur golfers think that that's too far. Like whole golfing life, when I play tournament golf with really good players, I've all that onto the court to separate the 25 ball in the 4 quadrants and make sure at the end of what I would do there. Robert, Mary, I just used the senior link and someone's login and password popular. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're good on the link. We're good. Good on the link. Mark, when let's see, when getting shaft more vertical on backswing, what is the first move to get the shaft shallow made with? Arms, wrist, all of it. when getting shaft more vertical on the backswing. So ideally, when you're getting the shaft more vertical on the backswing, remember most of that's happening through you're making sure you have enough shoulder tilt, right? So when I make a backswing, the steeper my incline of my shoulders is, the easier it is to go steeper and more kind of external with the lead arm this way. So one steeper going back is to add more shoulder tilt. And then you're really talking about shoulder rotation, which is forearm rotation, shoulder rotation. So your shoulders, when they internally rotate, or getting your elbow up this way, makes the club go flat. If I keep my elbow down to the ground and don't add any rotation there, not just forearm rotation, also shoulder rotation, that would keep the club more vertical. How to dial it from there? Well, if you have a good pivot, right, good rotation from there, if I have the shaft more vertical, should start to happen by itself. There can be some wrist conditions doing on the way down. There can be some forearm rotation. There can be some shoulder rotation. I mean, you can do all of that. From the top, you could flex your lead wrist to shallow it. You could add forearm rotation. You could add shoulder rotation, or you could pivot really well. All of those are in play. Unwatchable. Yeah, sorry, I think the video is bad there. Okay, so senior product, we're halfway through. We're going to do 50% off our senior. The senior product is Rapid Fire, all capital letters, RAPIDFIRE, for those of you who don't know how to spell that. One word, Rapid Fire, all caps, 50% off. You get the senior product for $23.50. When you click the link here in the comments to get there, it'll ask you, there's a little gray link above it that says coupon. Click that, type that in. It'll give you 50% off. You get it for $23.50, FYI. So, cool. Let's see what else we have here. Rapid Fire, 50%. Silliness. What do you think of the power package as a training aid? By the way, I'm following along, better hearing every other sentence. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about the quality. Power package, I think is, if it's the one I'm thinking of, is fine. I think that I tend to go more where like you're putting objects in the way and you have to learn how to avoid them, like avoidance drills. I find that those drills work better in terms of transfer than anything that kind of forces you to do a movement. Like in terms of training aids, you can do something that sort of forces you to do a movement, or you can do something where you have to avoid something and create movement on your own. I tend to like the ones where it's create movement on your own. Let's see, Brian, any way to watch this live later in Buffer and Bad? Yeah, sorry about that. I think you should do a replay. Let's see. Camera's drinking, very blurry. Good. Okay, good. So we got some issues. Let's see. Okay. Can you suggest a swing thought to use in the course? Assume that one swing thought max. Use the same entire round. Stroke rates. I absolutely, positively cannot possibly do that for you without seeing your swing, knowing more about you and what you want to do, what your miss pattern is, what miss you want to eliminate, what you're trying to do, etc. So if you do, check out CogornoGolf.com. You can post up in the Facebook group, then I'll look at an answer for that. But I need Joey, when is the correct time to settle into your grip? When you first set up to the ball, or should it be the last thing you do before setting up? Some people are different. Some guys will take the grip and have it and kind of walk in with the grip and have it down. Most of the players that I work with tend to take their step, put the club down first with their right hand, take their setup, and then settle into the grip sort of last, add a waggle or two, or go. So I would prefer that. I would set the club up with just the right hand, get into your grip kind of last, take a waggle or two, and then go. Peter, what's up? When I do the GG swing slowly, it goes well. Impact, I throw divot. Please, pretty please, tell us your thought process. Execute the GG impact 100%. Thank you. Yeah, again, man, I mean, unfortunately, I'd have to see you do that and do your swing. I would be taking absolutely guesses as to what you might be doing to top that. That is not something I see all the time, nor something that's universal where I could say, oh, that's this one or two things. I'd have to see you do it. Again, if you want to check out CogornoGolf.com, would love to check out your swing for you there if you want to, or do an online swing analysis. But I tips. Yeah, I mean, tons of things there. I think obviously more experience in the situation helps, right? If it's your first major championship or you're near your first lead like Harold Varner, like that's a very tough situation. The first time you're going through anything under pressure like that's tough. So I think Brooks obviously having times is good. I think that he has in just within golf. I think that's probably a life thing for him that just transfers into golf because he's a professional golfer. I found things over time like learning meditation and meditation practices, learning how to find a when your brain starts going has worked really good. That's learning how to do things like control your breathing, count your breathing, get more centered, being present and being aware of your senses, and kind of having a central focus. That they would be the two main things. And then any other sort of mental training in anything else. I think that goes beyond that. I think that's discipline for him of going to the gym every morning. I think that's discipline for him of his practice routine. I think that's discipline for him, you know, a lot of different areas, and just shows itself through golf because that's where we see him. Steve, what thoughts or advice can you give on how to relax when you play under pressure? I would say the same thing I just said right there. So being present, learning how to breathe, meditation stuff. How important is a fitting? Can you still progress with irons that might be too long? I think a fitting is very important. I think it's not the most important thing. I never had a club fitting growing up. I always got clubs off the rack. Financially, I just was not in a position to go get a club fitting, and I learned how to shoot under par. So it's not like you have to. Things I've noticed when my players get a fitting or when I've got a fitting since then would be your dispersion pattern can get tighter, meaning a good fitter can make your misses better, and make the overall circle of shots, and also can make your good better. So like your best shots with the club you have, if you had a different club, like drive can go faster, quicker. A new club could do that same thing. It's not essential, but it's typically speaking, if you get a good fitter, it will help, not hurt. Let's see, Tom, if you assume at the forearm position, here's an arm position, on the way down, the shaft shallows a little bit, right? If I went to the top and just added supination, the shaft would work like this. Here's me from the top, pure forearm, supination, palm up towards the sky. So clearly that doesn't happen, right? As I'm working down like this, if anything, there's going to be a little bit of pronation of the forearm until I get to about left arm parallel. And then from about left arm neutral, a little bit of pronation, then from about left arm parallel, then I'm going to start that supination process from about there all the way through into about club parallel into the finish position. Rich, after watching the PGA this weekend, I'm 100% sure a golf swing is actually a sweep of the ball. Did that today and hit the best irons ever. That's great. Yeah, I think sweep depends on like what does that actually mean? What do you do when you actually feel that? That's really a relative kind of term. I would say good players that maximize their strike with their irons have shallow and have a shallow approach, which I guess would be more of a sweep pattern. Of course, there's good players who hit really down on their irons and hit it really solid, but most really good players, look at the best ball strikers of all time, Tiger, late 90s, early 2000s. I'd throw Jack Nicklaus into that. I would throw Greg Norman into that. Guys that hit the ball really high, really far and solid, not a lot of divots, right? So it's more shooting the ball off the ground like that. So I'm cool with that. Let's see. Yep, sorry guys about the video quality. Yeah, one more time for those who weren't here before, the coupon code for half off the senior product is Rapid Fire, all caps, all one word, Rapid Fire. The link is in here. The link is in the description on the YouTube video. Rapid Fire, 50% off, $23.50. Ends tonight at 12 o'clock. Mark, hi Eric, I've been getting too shallow with my irons. I have the draw pattern you talk about. My club face is closed at path. I get overall rotation. In theory, you could get the club really far behind you, a la Sergio, like a Cameron Champ with his driver, get the club really, really laid down, John Rahm, and pivot extraordinarily well and make up for that. The problem is you get super shallow and don't pivot well, you get what you get, which is low point problems, pushes, hooks, fats, thins, usually toe shots or heel shots as well. So you could also get your swing direction not as dumped under. So if you swing, if you were to take your setup and you draw a line up the shaft of your belt line, trying to get that back on plane doesn't mean you have to rotate as much. You still can rotate phenomenally well, but the ball won't curve as much. I would search my name and cure your hook for good. There's 3 different drills in there involving a range bucket like back there to get the club back in front of you on the way down. Also, if you search the finish position, there's a drill with a stick in front of you. So I would search those 2 videos if you decide you want to get rid of the club being so far underneath. Matt, you are the best period of time through like January, March this year. So we'll definitely be in Orlando. So I'll send you a message. We'll get together and we'll see if we can meet some people down there and do a show at some point in time. Maybe we'll skip our Monday rapid fire and do a Monday golf channel. Steve, how do you log into your website? Yeah, Steve, which one are you talking about? If Cogorno Golf website or the Podia for the master class? If you let us know that, I will let you know. When gripping, oops. And also, Matt, I appreciate you saying that. Stroker, when gripping the club, which fingers do you feel pressure in on each hand? Yeah, kind of the typical thing that goes across in golf instruction would be with your left hand, and you feel it more so with the middle two fingers, right? So if I pull my right hand up, the middle two fingers on my right hand, so the finger of the left hand and the middle two fingers of the right hand would kind of be typically where guys would feel pressure. Some people feel the right hand thumb pad over the left thumb as a pressure point. Some people feel the right finger trigger. I don't think there's a universal must do. I think there's some personal preference and probably some reaction to some of those things, but those would be kind of typical answers to that. Caliban, I like that name. That's a cool name. Hi, I was fitted with 3-degree upright clubs. This was working for some time, however, now I swing more conventional swing path. In short, my driver would go perfect, but I'm trying to do the same swing with the irons is causing issues. Is this a golfer or a lie angle issue? I'd have to see your swing to be able to say for sure whether that's a you or a club problem. A good idea would be to go back to get another fitting or go to a good fitter and ask them the same question to eliminate any club potential issues. If I could see your swing, I would say, hey, here's what you're doing that's causing the shots, whether that is or not. But I have to see your swing. If you can't figure that all out, again, at cogornogolf.com, you can do that. Okay. Jason, is it okay to use a 10-finger grip? Yes. If it helps keep my trail wrist extended more passive or short. No, I think 10-finger grip's perfectly fine. No. In terms of adding side bends, a couple different feels you can do. One would be just feeling a right side crunch, like you're doing like an oblique crunch. Now, remember when you're doing right side bend, you're not letting your hip go forward. So it's almost like I'm getting both of them close together. See that motion there? When I feel like I do that, right hip goes higher, right shoulder, and that would be right side bend. You could also feel that your right shoulder is down at the ball for finish position. I'm fully standing up. If I end, so that would be oblique crunch, right hip up, right shoulder down towards the ball, feeling more bent over, right ear down, elbow up to the top. The club during the downswing to ride right on that plane line if you want to be perfectly neutral. If you want to hit draws, it's okay to be slightly under that plane line. If you want to hit fades, it's okay to be slightly over that plane line. It also depends on your club face position. It depends on your rotation amounts, et cetera, et cetera. What you're doing now. With the driver, it also depends on the angle of attack. So when you hit more up on the ball with your driver, down on a ball automatically kicks your path to the right. So your swing direction can be more to the left. That's why, like with a wedge, you're hitting down the most. You'll see them get a little bit steeper and swing a little bit more left because that neutralizes out. Eric, what's the best drill to fix swing for my upper body, which ends up over my legs, chest, down on the backswing? What is the best drill to fix swing for my upper body, ends up over my legs, chest, like this way? So if you're saying like you have too much forward bend this way, backswing, first, if you search my name and centered, you'll see 2 different videos, one we did last year, one this year, on like several different drills and explanation of what it is. Your issue is you have too much forward flexion, which is bent over this way, chest down towards the ground, and you need more extension, which is chest up. Specifically, you need extension from thoracic, kind of mid-spine up to the top. So it's not so much like pelvis forward this way, it's kind of pelvis the same, and here like this. So if I made a backswing and I went chest down on the way back, but then I added the extension, that gets me back to neutral. So you can do some shadowing. Instead of your chest going down, you want to feel like your chest goes up towards the sky on the way back, a little bit of a curve in your spine. Search my name and centered. You'll see a bunch of videos on that. Craig, hi, Eric. I have a problem with excessive forearm roll, especially with driver wood. Right palm faces the sky early. Do you have any tips, thoughts? Yeah, a ton of that. If you search my name and takeaway, there'll be a bunch. Basically, just flip your pattern, right? So when you go back, if you've got a lot of roll and your right palm is up towards the sky, make a backswing and feel your right palm stays down towards the ground for longer. So when you go back like this, the right palm is down. That'll get the less roll, face more tilted down. You could feel like your club face is pointed down, like someone else said before, pointed down towards the ball for a much longer period of time during your backswing. Do the opposites. Back of left hand stays pointed down towards the ground. Left palm stays pointed up towards the sky. Back of right hand up towards the sky. Any of those things would work. But if you search takeaway with my name, and there's a lot of different drills on that. Yeah, sorry about the connection. There's nothing, that just kind of is what it is. Yeah, it kind of sucks.
There's things I can check, but after.
Let's see. I have a problem with, okay, I'll do that. Right forearm, higher than left forearm at setup. Right-handed, result over the top pull shot. Yes. So when you take your setup position from down a line, there's kind of a line on your forearms, which would be here like so. And you get the left, which is too straight or internally rotated this way, and your forearms aligned to the left, that's going to want to get a swing path working this way. I would like your arms neutral or add a little bit of bend to your right arm. So your right arm goes under your left via a little bit of bend. That gets your forearms a little bit to the right, which helps kind of promote a little bit more of that draw pattern, swing direction more to the right. Observation, I enjoyed using your wedge system. Excellent, 30 to 110, beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also all clubs, minus 10 yards neck, minus 20 shoulder, easier than swing full out, flight or less bag, exactly. Yeah, definitely easier that way than just kind of guessing as you go. Need to have a good distance control system. We all get stuck in the direction control, which is important, but hitting the ball the specific distance that you're supposed to is also huge. How much hand manipulation should I use at impact? That depends on where your club face is coming into the ball and how much rotation you have. The more the face is open during the downswing, the more your left wrist bending your right wrist back, and or arm rotation to square it at the bottom. And you can play great golf doing that. It's not inherently incorrect. Yeah, has arm supination. There'll still be some, but then you can add more just rotation from there. The more body rotation you have, typically speaking, the less you have to do with your arms and hands, the less body rotation, the more you have to do with arms and hands. You can play great golf. And if you have crossed the line for 25 years, it worth to fix layoff stuff from there. I mean, a tempo thing is like, hey, really you just tempo, that can be you feeling like you're swinging only 20%, take more club than you normally do, there's something like that. Is it worth fixing the across the line? The first thing I want to be is look at it and say, hey, is cross line even the problem? So across the line can set up a lot of really good stuff. Good move, a lot of times easier to shallow down, so it depends swing. If you're long and across the line, that usually gets steep in transition. If you go long enough and turn enough on the whack, and then you pivot well coming down, then across the line can actually have benefit. So I'd have to kind of see what you do along with that. Let's see, Jeff, still a lot of discussion. Yeah, connection's really bad here. On any make percentage over time. But I think it's more of a personal preference. I think in like the 20, 30, 40 foot range that for like depth perception is probably pretty good, but for the short range size divot really depends on the club. I would say maybe a dollar bill size divot, people would say is kind of a traditional, about a dollar bill size, dollar bill. I think we're having even more problems with our connection. So I'm probably gonna wrap this up now next week. Don't know why that's going on. Yeah, they're all caps is your code now that you're here. As soon as I get off of this, I think actually we're doing it until midnight tonight. So after midnight, if you want to get the Senior Golf Swing Masterclass, $23.50 if you use Rapid Fire. We'll be back next week. We'll make sure these video issues are done. If you guys do want me to look at your swing or do want